exist? Because you have faith. Does that make this book good? Does God exist?
Another day, another reason to rejoice. Hi friends, welcome to Faith and Fitness with Cate. If you are new here, my name is Cate and I post faith and fitness related videos on this channel. Everyone is welcome here in this channel, and thank you guys so much for clicking in this video. And also thank you so much for the 100 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. In this video, I am so excited to share with you guys my top 5 favorite Christian podcasts that every Christian must listen to. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, this is very funny. I've just actually recently learned how to use my podcast app on my iPhone, and I've been using iPhone for I don't know, like 5 years now. So yes, and when I learned how to listen to Christian podcasts on my phone, which is like I think half a year ago, no, not half a year ago, probably a couple months ago, I just could not stop listening to Christian podcasts because it's so handy. Like, I listen to podcasts every day when I do household chores, and they're just overall good. So the first one is called The Christian Worldview, Think Biblically, Live Accordingly by David Wheaton. I actually discovered this podcast from watching Kendra's YouTube video on top 5 Christian podcasts that you must listen to. She is awesome. Thank you, Kendra, for your podcast recommendations. I will list her YouTube channel down below. I enjoy watching her videos, so definitely check her out. So basically, the aim of this podcast is to sharpen the biblical worldview of Christians, which is awesome, and to share the good news that all people can be reconciled to God through Jesus Christ, which is awesome. I really appreciate that these podcasts share the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is the core of why we are living on earth, to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, and it must be the center of everything that we do. So I'm just gonna read some of the topics that they've recently aired, if that's the correct term, recently produced. So one of them, which is very interesting: should Christians drink alcohol? Doing sports God's way, not idol worshipping way. How the Equality Act is a Christian persecution act. What it means to identify with Christ in his death and resurrection. So really interesting topics, and he's very easy to listen to. David Wheaton, The Christian Worldview. I highly recommend him. The second podcast, which I really enjoy listening to, is called Ask Pastor John. This is a podcast where students or individuals ask John Piper difficult stuff. So this podcast is basically John Piper answering tough theological and pastoral questions. So this podcast is not long. Most of them are 10 minutes to like 12 minutes long, which is very handy. John Piper is an awesome Bible teacher, and he's got a lot of experience. He's very well knowledgeable, and you can tell that he loves the Lord, that he's very passionate about life, about Jesus, about sharing the gospel. I'm just going to read some of the topics that he's recently produced. One which is very practical: should my boyfriend and I travel alone? Do human technologies ever threaten divine sovereignty? Very interesting. Was Job a man or a myth? Why does God discipline some Christians with death? Should we postpone children while I finish my degree? So Pastor John answers these tough questions with love and with much knowledge. He's very knowledgeable with the Bible, and he is very humble. He's very Bible centered, which I really like. I highly recommend Ask Pastor John. Really interesting questions that individual asks, and very practical as well. So yeah. And the third one I really enjoy listening to is called Relatable by Ali Beth Stuckey. I enjoy listening to her. She posts a lot. She posts 3 times a week, which is awesome. She does Theology Mondays, political stuff. So I do enjoy listening to her. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to her podcast on abortion stuff, and she talks about a lot of politics and news. I, for one, am not really into politics, but since I listened to Ali Beth Stuckey, it made me realize that Christians should be aware of what's happening in our world and just really thinking about our world. So the topics that she recently produced are unbearable. Will God place Christians in a situation that's beyond what they can bear? That podcast is so good. Abortion, she does Abortion Equality Act, reading the Bible, how to read the Bible properly. I think that every Christian must listen to this podcast by Ali Beth Stuckey, Relatable, reading the Bible, because sometimes we just read the Bible for ourselves and reading it out of context and placing our agenda above what actually is God saying in his word. Like, what are the author's original intent of writing like a specific letter or book? So very important to listen to. I really enjoy listening to Ali Beth Stuckey, so I really recommend her. Please go and check her out. Number 4 podcast that I enjoy listening to is called Insight for Living Daily Broadcast by Chuck Swindoll. Charles Swindoll is one of the preachers out there that I just could not get enough of. And this podcast is quite different. It's very practical. It's like listening to sermons. So I really like that Charles Swindoll does series. I enjoyed listening to his series called Set Sails for Joy. And so he basically went through the book of Philippians and laughing through life's dilemmas, what's a way to live. He's all about smiles, rejoicing, and stuff like that. He does really good sermon series on this podcast, so definitely check him out. He's a sound Bible teacher. He is humble, he's compassionate, he is funny. I really like listening to Chuck Swindoll, so I highly recommend him. Definitely check his podcast out. So the last podcast that I really enjoy listening to is called CrossExamined.org by Dr. Frank Turek. Frank Turek is one of the best apologists in our age. Apologist is basically someone who defends Christianity, and so I really appreciate that he produces really good apologetics information in his podcast. So the recent topics he's produced are navigating a post-truth culture, is progressive Christianity really good news, did Jesus really rise from the dead, really awesome stuff is the Quran, the Word of God. 10 things every Christian should know for college. So this podcast is very well informed. I like that he is very intellectual, but the way that he delivers information is just very easy to get. He is simple to listen to. I feel like when I listen to Frank Tur, I feel like I'm listening to my spiritual father. He just gives really good insights, very biblical. He is good in his field, in philosophy, and he gives really good evidence for Christianity and very easy to listen to. So if there is one that you can subscribe to, I definitely would recommend cross-examine that. Or I feel like as Christians, it's good for us to be trained in apologetics. We don't have to be super smarty pants to defend our faith, you know, to defend Christianity. It's good to be equipped, and it's good to have the confidence and to answer people who ask us about the hope that is within us. And so we should have that confidence to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And learning information, just learning about apologetics and what we believe in is very important. And the fact that listening to podcasts help us be equipped with tough questions that people might throw at us as Christians, it's just so good to have these kind of resources to make us think, help us be equipped in life in general. So yes, that's the video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are inspired to subscribe to this podcasts because they're just so good. Learning information every day is so good for our brains, and listening to Christian podcasts is not just good for our brains, it's so good for our heart and soul as well. I am very curious what Christian podcasts you like listening to, so let me know down in the comments below what Christian podcasts out there that are sound and good. Please let me know. I am very curious to know. If you have any video suggestions, please comment them down below as well. If you have any questions about me or whatever, comment them down below. I am very happy to answer. Thank you guys so much again for being here with me. I hope to see you in my next video, but for now, much love and God bless. Bye!